Today our topic is adjectives and using them to describe people. So first of all, we're going to start off with the questions. How do you ask people what people and what things are like? So if you are talking to one person, you're going to say, ¿Cómo eres tú? If you're talking to one person, you want to show some respect, you'll say, ¿Cómo es usted? If you're talking to a group of people, you'll say, ¿Cómo son ustedes? If you're talking about people, you want to say, what's he like or what's she like? ¿Cómo es él? ¿Cómo es ella? If you are talking about a group of people, ¿Cómo son ellos? ¿Cómo son ellas? You're probably not going to often ask, what am I like? So I skipped the whole top part. So the answer. In order to answer, and even in the question actually, when we describe characteristics of people and characteristics of things, we're going to use the verb ser, which is to be. Alright, so remember, this is a review. Our conjugations of the verb ser, yo soy. Tú eres. We should add usted in that box under tú. So usted es. Él and ella es. Nosotros somos. Ellos son and ustedes son. Review. Formulas are. So here we go. So if we look at the adjective alto, sometimes it shows up as alta. And we also have bajo, which sometimes shows up as baja. So alto and bajo. So I'm going to give you two sentences. First, el payaso, the clown, es alto. So the subject comes first, and that's el payaso. We could also use el, right, instead of el payaso, el with an accent. Notice that the L up there does not have an accent. That L means da. El payaso es alto, and la niña, la chica, es baja. Okay, so again we have subject, conjugated verb, form of the verb ser, es, and bajo or baja. So we don't want to look at why did we change it from bajo to baja for la niña, but we didn't change it from alto to alta for el payaso.
Because it's changing the adjective to match the subject, like the girl.
Good. So the girl, la niña, is one, she's a girl. And two, the word niña is a feminine word. You can tell it's a feminine word because of the la. The la, the la, tells you that niña is a feminine word. But you could already know that because she's a girl. And el payaso does not have the la. It has an el without an accent. And that tells you that it's a masculine word. So this bajo or baja, the alto or the alta, is going to match the gender of the noun that it's modifying. La profesora Salmon, ¿es alta o soy baja? Which one am I?
Alta.
Alta. Oh, you're so nice. You're trying to kiss up to me. No, I'm muy baja. Soy baja. So, because I'm also a female, even though the word yo is representing me, and you know I'm a female, so you would choose baja for me and not bajo for me. I'm never going to be bajo. Important thing to remember. Girls always get A's in Spanish class. Doesn't matter if they do all their work. Doesn't matter if they flunk all their tests. Girls will always get A's in Spanish class. A. Sorry, no A for you. You're not a girl.
Can you get O's?
You can get an O. So as we saw in that last example, when we use adjectives to describe characteristics of people and characteristics of things, we have to remember to match the adjective to that noun in gender and in number. Okay? So number means singular or plural. Is there one clown or are there two clowns? Salud. And then gender means masculine or feminine. So Spanish, that's the O or the A. So it needs to match in gender and in number. So let's look at how we do that. First, number one, we're looking at that, going from singular to plural. If the noun ends in a vowel, you add an S. We do this in English also. To make a noun or adjective plural, we add an S. And if that adjective ends in a consonant, we add ES. So alto would be altos. But the word easy, fácil, ends in an L, not in a vowel. So we would say fáciles. Gender, so go from masculine or feminine. Whenever you look a word up in the dictionary, it's always going to be in the masculine form. It'll have the O on it. So in order to change a word from a masculine to a feminine form, we drop off the O and we make it an A. So let's look at a few of those. Alright, so the ángel happens to be a chica, la chica, and so instead of choosing bueno, la chica gets an A in Spanish class, la chica es buena, right? So I changed it with an A. El diablo is a boy, and he's also, the word is el diablo, it ends in an O and it has the L instead of the la, so it's clue number 2. That it's a masculine word, needs a masculine adjective. So we're going to have malo. So here we stayed with the O, but for the chica, we had to change it to buena. Do you guys recognize these girls? Mean Girls. Mean Girls. So we have the word simpático, which means nice. And the opposite of that, antipático, which means mean. So, which one are we going to choose for the mean girls? Simpático or antipático? Antipática. Antipática. Okay. But we have girls. So, they're not going to be antipático. They're going to be what? Antipática. But there's not just one mean girl. There are 4 mean girls. So, we have antipáticas.
Girls come in numbers.
They do run in packs. All right. So, here we go. Las chicas. Notice I changed S to son because I'm talking about multiple people now. So I moved over to that right-hand column of our chart. Antipática because they're female and S because there's more than one of them. Antipáticas. Also, if you look at our second sentence, ellas no son simpáticas. The no comes right before the verb. Subject, no, verb, adjective. Ellas no son antipáticas. In English, we put the not after our verb. We say they are not nice. But in Spanish, the no comes before the are. It does not come after the verb. Okay? So our structure is always going to be subject, no, verb, adjective. So here we have los reyes de comedia son muy cómicos. So here we emphasize twice. So the muy does come before cómicos in this example. Well, always. It's going to come right before the adjective. Pretty versus ugly. So here we have a picture of some beautiful tulips. The word in Spanish is tulipán. Okay? Tulipán, crazy enough, it's plural because they added the es. So tulipanes, that's how we made tulipán plural. It's los. Okay, the article here is plural also. And the O tells you that the word tulipán, even though it's a beautiful, dainty, feminine looking flower, is actually a masculine word. Okay? So because the word tulipán is masculine, the adjective that describes it, bonito, also needs to be masculine. So we have los tulipanes son bonitos. No son feos. Okay? So here again, the no comes right before the son. The S is because it's plural, and the bonitos is because the word tulipán is a masculine word.
Do you just have to memorize it?
Yes. You just have to memorize it. For a lot of the words like chico, chica, casa, words that end in A or words that end in O, you pretty much know that those words are going to be masculine or feminine depending on the A or the O for the most part. But all of the rest of the words you're just going to have to memorize. So it's really important when you're making your vocabulary lists that you're careful about including that L or the la, because that's what's going to tell you if it's masculine or if it's feminine. Also important to note is that it's not the thing that actually is masculine or feminine. It's the word we use to talk about it. So if we take the same exact flower and instead of calling it a tulip, we call it a flower, the word flor in Spanish is feminine. La flor. Okay, again we made it plural by adding the es, but las flores son bonitas, no son feas. So if we were talking about the exact same object, but used different words to refer to it, we would have to change how our sentence, our adjective, is built. Okay, so it's the word that carries the gender, not the object. Our words that don't end in O are automatically, they're pretty much neutral. You don't have to change the O to the A if the O isn't there. So if los exámenes, we just add the es. Son difíciles, no son fáciles.